Okay, guys, time to talk spoilers for Superman. If you have not seen the movie, get off this video, go watch the movie, and then come on back and hear what I gotta say. And jump to my channel and watch my spoiler free review, and then go see the movie for yourself. And then have it, have your own opinion, and then see what I gotta say about the spoilers. So that is your cue to get out of here. Get out. Shoot, 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 shoot. Go see the movie. Now that's out of the way. I'm just gonna jump right to one of my strongest nitpicks with this movie, which I did not leave any hints to whatsoever in my spoiler-free review. But one of the ways that Lex Luthor tries to tarnish his Superman's reputation is where he has these random stupid ass monkeys basically trolling him on social media where it's like, yeah, super shit, hashtag super shit. Really? The only good positive thing I can say about that is that it was quick when they only shed light on it about like a couple times where they were very quick. They didn't lean into the subject at all, not even for a minute. Just like a real quick mention, and you briefly see it. Like, okay, there it goes, and like there it is, and there it goes. So that's the only good thing I can say about it. If you're up to me, I'm like, James, what the fuck are you doing? Why is this in here? Does this need to be in the fucking? Does this shit need to be in the fucking movie? No, it doesn't. No. But had to get that off my chest. Damn. But this movie, uh, I mean, like I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed how David Cornsweet portrayed Superman slash Clark Kent, even though I would have liked to have at least one more scene with him in the disguise where we get the shirt reveal, like where he rips the shirt open, the signature change into Superman. We did not get that. That broke my heart a bit. I'm like where they're gonna have that kaiju, like where let's say like Clark's at work with the Daily Planet with everybody. They're having a conversation with Lois before they can try to make up from their fight the night before, or I guess like let's say like okay, there's something going on. There's a kaiju outside, and then we see Clark sneak away, go somewhere where there's nobody around, do the shirt reveal, and then go take care of the kaiju. Just a quick scene, like what? I mean, like that would have been cool to see. Just one scene with the shirt reveal. What the fuck, James? Wouldn't have like? Did you really feel like okay, that's not necessary? How many times have we seen that? Look, and at least once in something that involves Superman, I need, especially in his standalone story, I need at least one shirt open reveal. Come on. But I did love how when like for example, like where he's more focused on saving people and keeping people safe when he's fighting the kaiju, like when he hits him and then the kaiju starts to fall back on the building, or he's about to, and then Superman flies behind his back and pushes him away from the building. Like these are little details, like criticisms that people were throwing up in the air. Like, come on, guys, why isn't Superman doing that? When and like back in Man of Steel, like we're okay. I'm glad we have the action, but why isn't he saving people? I mean, so this is the answer to that criticism. So that is cool. But man, I don't know. I felt like this movie, I did enjoy it, but I felt like it moved way too fast. Where I'm like, wait, slow down. Like they cut to him turning himself in way too quickly, and we only know about the whole Baravia thing in conversations, and then like we see on the news, and the I guess the president over out in that way talking like, oh, Superman, da, 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 da. I would have liked to have seen a brief scene how it got to that point, you know. But that's just me. That's just me. But uh, and also I did love how I'm like going all over the place, so I apologize. Um, I mean I do understand why James Gunn decided to bring Superman's power level down a bit to where we can give him where I guess he felt he I guess where he feels that it's better to tell a story to where we start to feel scared for Superman, and then the way they executed that idea was done really well. I mean, in terms of the execution, like for example, when he's struggling to breathe, when the engineer is like suffocating him with her nanotech powers and stuff like that. Like, okay, that's different. Um, and also, but I am glad that Superman was not depowered to the point where he needed to wear a fucking spacesuit in outer space like he did in Superman the animated series. That's cool if you're going near a red sun, but you're here, you're on Earth, you're in Earth's atmosphere. You're literally flying towards your source of your powers, the yellow sun. What do you need a fucking space like a spacesuit for? What do you need a fucking Buzz Lightyear spacesuit for, man? Like Bruce Timm dropped the ball on that, in my opinion. Like, okay, you depowered Superman. I get all that or whatever. Like you and James Gunn seem to see eye to eye on that. Okay, but needing a spacesuit and when he's in space, close to the yellow sun, that doesn't make sense to me. So that's not the case here in this movie. So I'm glad that did not happen. Like we got a reassurance with that specific detail, like when we see in one of the mid credit scenes where Superman and Krypto are on the moon together, and then they're sharing a hug, which is cool to see. Like that's like one that's like if I were to choose out one of those two credit scenes, that's the one to stay for. That one right there for sure. That's just me. And um I just I I, I love how um Superman is so dedicated to just where you really feel his love and care for basically every living being, like specifically the human race, anybody who is breathing, to where um, they show emotion there, and then they have this moment like where one random citizen helps Superman out of the crater that the Hammer of Baravia knocks him into, and then like with Lex Luthor watching, like monitoring everybody around, around Superman, like because, Hammer Baravia, who actually turns out to be Ultraman, I actually disrespect that. Like, I think that's Ultraman. Okay, so that is Ultraman. Okie dokie. And the fact that Lex Luthor had that poor man abducted and kills him in front of Superman, like, talk about a fucked up thing. And you have this, president that's over in Baravia or whatnot, just like, oh, okay, like, he's like pretty cartoonish. Like, I just really hated that character. Like, oh, Superman, I mean, just the character himself. Like, I was so glad when Hawkgirl went over there and attacked his men, got a hold of him. He's like, you won't kill me, because you have a cold. And she's like, nah, I'm not like Superman. And then she drops him. I was like, yes, yes, yes. Don't miss that guy at all. But This movie had all the cards right. You just moved way. They just moved way too fast, way too fast, way too fast. And I felt like if they didn't need to give these other characters a moment to shine, like Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl, this would have flowed a little bit better. I mean, and then this movie should have been maybe 10 minutes longer. It would have flowed better. Where I was just like, guys, like, are we in the middle of the movie already? Like, it felt a little choppy to me. Probably because I was enjoying myself and I wanted to see more of what was going on. And and from the way Superman turns himself in and it cuts right to him being smacked into the pavement, I thought that was gonna lead into some like a fight, and then he just ends up walking into a trap and gets apprehended. And then he decides, okay, you know what? I don't want anybody else to get hurt. I will go with you willingly. I mean, he does stat. He goes with them willingly. But I felt like that whole smashing his head into the pavement, like would have made it more impactful. You know what I mean? Rather than just cutting to him being smashed into the into the ground. Like, okay, he turned himself in. What the fuck? I love. I found it very amusing that Lex Luthor would instruct Ultraman on how to fight Superman. Like, you use this fight move, block this, kick this, cat, did that. Where he studied all hit Superman's moves through the years, and it's like it's like Luthor's playing a video game, and then Ultraman is the character he's controlling, where he's like, oh, da, 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 da. I mean, that's how it came off to me, especially when it gets to the third act of the movie, where Luthor is really into it, where he's just swinging his fist in the air like, get him, get him, get him, get him. It was just, I don't know. I don't know. I found myself really amused with that. I found myself enjoying that, where Lex is acting like an angry gamer during that moment. Like, wow. And um, there were some times where the humor did not work. Like when we find out that Metamorpho has a son, and then Lex Luthor has him held captive, and then Metamorpho just like, I think that's when he comes to his senses, where he saw that the poor man getting killed in front of him and Superman, and then that's where he's starting to become influenced to like, okay, well, maybe I should help Superman so we can get my son out of here. Like, I can't do this anymore. And it was cool how in this movie, at least in the DCU, like when Superman is exposed to kryptonite, you see him start to look a bit deformed, and you see the green vines, and his face he looks really bad, as opposed to in other versions, like other live action versions, he the character just gets weak, and he's getting kind of sweaty. Like, I'm so yeah, it's been a while since we've seen like where you can see the exposure actually do something to him, like he's getting really sick, like where he's infected. Like, we've had versions of that, like more so on TV, like in the TV shows, like from animation and live action. So it was cool to see that for the first time on a big screen movie, where I'm like, oh, he looks pretty terrible. I like that. And um, it was wild how when Superman has little baby Joey, and he's more focused on keeping Joey safe, and rather than protecting himself, while these guards of Lex Luthor, like the Raptors as he calls them, where they come charging in at Superman, smacking them and punching them, punching them and punching them, and Superman is not really able to defend himself like he should, because he might hurt, the baby. So then he's more focused on doing the best he can to make sure the baby's not hurt. And man, it seemed like the odds were not in his favor, and during that whole sequence, it was just crazy. And uh, part of me is glad. Like I heard that they removed the scene where Crypto got punched by Ultraman. Part of me is glad that happened. Okay, don't have that scene in the movie, but the way you see Crypto in the pocket dimension, and then he's like in this container where he's, I guess, it was like he's visualizing being like where he's chasing other animals or whatnot. But just seeing how Crypto look, I'm just like, I'd be just as pissed as Superman is. I mean, why were people pissed, like angry about Superman being angry with Lex Luthor? Like maybe because Luthor deserves it. I mean, and can we talk about Superman's restraint in that scene? Like this guy can probably turn that whole building, everything that Lex Luthor owns, he can turn it all into a mountain of dust and ashes. And the fact that he just all he did was burst through the door, threw his desk across the office, and cracked the window. I mean, the guy can do a lot more damage than that. And yet people were bitching like, "Oh, why is Superman doing that?" When you see how things play out, to where, okay, the fortress is destroyed, the machines are ripped apart. He notices that Crypto is gone. So yeah, and then we have like where he knows that people are basically, or at least he thinks that people are criticizing them online, like, oh, why do you do that? Why did he fly over here? He stepped on the line. Like this is political. So why wouldn't he be why wouldn't he be upset for at least Crypto being taken? And you people are acting like you wouldn't get pissed if your pet was taken. Get Miss me with that shit. Miss me with that shit. Like, come on now. But man, um, I am glad, even though despite my nitpicks with this movie, I'm glad that it's getting the praise that it's getting right now. Like where there's more positives than negatives. I mean, there's very few. Like the mess and the negatives are starting to come in, but the positives are still on top right now. And I'm glad because I love this version of Superman. I love the cast. I want to see more of these characters. Like I want to see like another Superman movie. I want to see him be a main character in other movies, like a Batman Superman World Finest movie or a Justice League movie. But I'm not in a hurry for those movies to happen. Like let's take our time with getting there. Like we just got Superman's first movie. It's a like I feel like it's a bold and an appropriate move for the studio to make rather than to play it safe and start with Batman. That would have been them playing it safe because they're like, look, everybody loves him. Doesn't matter who we put under that cow. Like we still got him hit on our hands. The fact that they're going like, no, let's start with the character that basically started this whole superhero thing in general. Like to where we start with Superman, and let's be real. If it weren't for the creation of Superman by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, Bob Kane and Bill Finger probably would not have made Batman. Stan Lee probably would not have made Spider-Man. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So this was they were right to start this universe truly with the man who started this whole Superman fiasco, this whole superhero fiasco that we have now today. That simple. But I would have I mean like I did like the like the two uh credit scenes, especially the one where there's Superman and Crypto on the moon together. That's the best one. And then I did laugh at the last one where Superman and Mr. Terrific are, and where basically Mr. Terrific tried to put together some buildings that suffered from the pocket dimension ripping open Metropolis. Like, I mean, like that. I mean, I guess it was cute humor, but people will feel like, okay, that was not a necessary scene to have. Like having end credit scenes like that. Let's move away from that. Let's not do that anymore, please. Like, we don't need that. Like, if you're gonna throw us something like that, then do it like before the credits roll. I would have had Superman and Crypto have that moment right before the credits rolled, and then we do at some form of a last shot of Superman flying around enjoying himself. But still, it was a heartfelt moment when he was in the fortress and he was seeing montages of home videos with his with him as a child with the Kents. That was beautiful to see. And then the last shot we see before the credits roll is where we have an up close shot of Superman smiling as he's watching the videos. And then when the credits start to roll, people were clapping. I'm glad because I want my homeboy to get all the love that he deserves. Like, I just wish, I mean, you had a good movie here, but with a slower pacing, that would have served it much better. And you take some of these characters out of the movie, then I would leave Mr. Terrific and maybe Metamorpho, because they seem to serve more to the plot, even though Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl do have their moments to shine. But still, that's just me. I'm trying to think of what else to cover here before I end this video, because a lot does happen. And I'm glad that they didn't try way too hard with the origins, like avoiding, like where they to avoid the origin story to the point where, like, okay, we're just gonna avoid this and that, and they just don't talk about Jor-El or Laura or any of that stuff. I'm glad that they do show us a glimpse of Jor-El and Laura in the recording. And I know Jor-El's played by Bradley Cooper, and I feel like that was done pretty well. And that was an interesting thing that to throw in there, like where it's like, okay, there's a message. They're speaking Kryptonian the whole time, and they try to translate what was said. And you can tell that really meant something deeply to Superman. And for Lex Luthor to somehow alter the second half of the message, where it's like, okay, we got a second half, and then it twists from saying, you can be a good person to the people, like, because they're pathetic, they need to be ruled, blah, 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 blah. You can see why that affects Superman, because like with just like where that meant so much to him, that first half of the message, to where this other half comes in and then he feels drastically betrayed. Drastically. It kind of reminds me in the Batman, spoiler alert, when Bruce Wayne sees something on the news where the Riddler exposes his family, the Waynes, like okay, Bruce's mother Martha was in and out of institutions and she did this and that, and Thomas Wayne was trying to cover it up, and then turns to Carmine Falcone, and then it all goes to shit and nothing. Like, how deeply betrayed Bruce felt in that moment. That's how Superman felt when they played that message of his biological parents on national TV, like left and right and left and right. Like, talk about a crazy scene. And that was about how when Superman and Metamorpho got real emotional over someone being killed in front of them, and they couldn't do nothing about it. Like, that hit me a little bit, like, wow, Lex Luthor is a dick. Which is why I did find it funny that Crypto came in and attacked Luthor after Superman has him apprehended, and then he basically puts him in his place. Like, look, you are always wrong about me. I get scared, I make mistakes, but that's what makes me human, and that's my greatest strength. They should have just left it as that. But I mean, Luthor had it coming where he decided to get in Superman's face, like, you piece of shit, poking at his chest, and then Crypto's like, you know what, I'm not having it anymore. It is. I mean, but I don't know. Like this is what I mean when I said they could have toned down the humor a bit. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't need to have no humor whatsoever, but be more selective with it. You're in the right direction, but it just moved too fast for its own good. This movie moved way too fast for its own good. That's how I felt on the first viewing. I plan to see this again, so we'll see if I feel any different afterwards, because it's pretty common with a lot of people where your first reaction is like, whoa, and then after you let things sit down and marinate, you go in a different route. But I don't know. Despite those nitpicks that I have, I'm really am glad that this movie is getting the positive buzz that it's getting, because this new DC universe just started. We need to help keep it going. Superman's back. Let's be happy that we've got Superman back. We wanted him to be back to being bright and hopeful, like as he's always been. David brought that to the role beautifully, and I want to see more of his version of Superman, and I wish we had more of his. I wish we had more to see with him and Lois and their relationship, but I feel like they're on a better path now by the end of this movie. So I bet we'll see more of that, like when we see them together again. I'm glad Superman's back, despite my nitpicks. I'm so glad my hero is back, and David portrayed him wonderfully, and I trust that he won't get done dirty like previous actors who stepped into the role. And if that were to happen with David, then I would probably be in a very much more jaded mindset. But I don't think that will happen. So hopefully it doesn't. I'm trying to think of what else to point. Oh yeah, and then with Jimmy and Eve Tessmacher. I mean, it's funny, but I didn't really care for it. Like where that's sort of how, like Lex Luthor gets exposed, because Eve is just sort of like, oh, snappy, snappy, selfie, 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 and then she's around to where the stuff that can really basically criminate Lex Luthor, which it did. It reminds me back into the original 1978 movie where Luthor keeps telling Miss Tessmacher, like, no, step away from there. No, don't snoop in there. No, get out of there. I feel like this is why he didn't want her snooping around, because he didn't trust her. Oh man. But I don't know. I mean, like, those are just the minor changes that I would make to the movie. I would keep it for the most part the same, but slow down the pacing and save these other characters that you have put into this movie. Put them in other movies, put them in other stuff that you have cooked up for the DCU. Let's focus more so on Superman. That's what the character deserves, but it's on to a good start though. So hopefully those criticisms can be taken with a grain of salt, and hopefully James Gunn is listening, and then like for the next time Superman appears again, which will likely be in Supergirl, but where he's the star of the movie, whether it's his standalone sequel or whatnot, let's flush things out and move at a more proper pace. That's all I ask. But I'm glad Superman's back, definitely. So Leave your comments in below. Like, what are your thoughts? I'm gonna assume that you saw the movie, so did you like it? Did you hate it? Where do you sit with it? Let's talk. Let's talk civil about it, okay? But yeah, those are my thoughts on Superman. Spoilers. I'm looking forward to seeing it again, regardless. All right, guys, let's talk in the comments about the movie. Peace out.